welcome to the Voice of the Coast. I am your host, Danica Long. With me, we have Cindy Cutrera, who is the Economic Development Director for the Port of Morgan City. Now, this is going to be really interesting because typically you have your partner with you. We have Mac Wade, but you're here solo for the moment. We'll have him in a little bit later in the show. And we're talking about MARAD. First and foremost, before we get to that, give me the acronym of what MARAD stands for.
MARAD actually stands for Maritime Administration, which is a division of the U.S. Department of Transportation.
And what's so interesting about this, you are probably quite familiar with I-49, or now we're talking about M49. And it looks like M49 is moving a lot quicker than I-49. So it sounds like you're here with some good news, and I'm happy to talk more about that, because my whole focus has always been we need to make money off that waterway. We have beautiful waterways that are being dredged. We've got the monies to ching, so we need to start getting some monies flow through here. And earlier this month, June 7th, June 8th, there was pretty much kind of a seminar conference held at the port, the EOC building, and let's talk about money. Let's talk about what was put on the table at this MARAD seminar.
Okay, well, the way it started, you know, the Maritime Administration has the Marine Highway Program, and they are, through the Marine Highway Program, you can get grants to be able to do some infrastructure, dockside infrastructure. However, you start out as a Marine Highway designated route, which we have now. We're actually at the intersection of M49 and M10, which is the Intercoastal Waterway and the Atchafalaya Red River. Those are sort of parallel to I-10 and I-49. So we got all of the people together, the ports that are on this M49 on the Atchafalaya and Red River, because we want to be able to do something with that M49 designation. If we can come up with a designated project, then everyone involved along that waterway who's part of the project can also qualify for some of that grant funding through MARAD.
Right, so of course this is a huge partnership. I mean, you had ports from Texas, from up north Louisiana, and of course we were involved in that. So have there been any projects identified?
We have some possibilities along the waterway. We just started the process, and so we did generate some leads. We did a SWOT analysis during the program and determined some of those possibilities. So now we're going to work with Maritime Administration, kind of focus on those things within that SWOT analysis that we came up with, and then be able to in turn work together as partners to be able to develop possibly a project. So nothing set in stone, but there are some good leads that we have. Just can't talk about them yet.
Okay,
so.
Well, maybe give us some examples for someone, the everyday layman like myself, who's not quite familiar. What could this monies be used for? I mean, you're saying waterway, but could it be used for, you know, land projects, for storage facilities? I'm not exactly sure. Kind of explain that.
Yes, you can even do cluster piles to tie up barges right outside your facility if you don't have enough place to tie up. Okay. But you can't dredge. But you can do things on land, such as warehouses, or you know, we've even had some of the projects that they have done have actually funded some of the vessels that have been used to transport these items, which would include anything in our area. We're looking at maybe agriculture, lumber, steel, scrap. Those are just chemical things from the chemical industry, some of those products.
Right. And with the price of gas the way it is, I'm sure, and actually you if you can verify, is it economically feasible to transport a lot of these goods by way of water versus by highway? Generally
it is. You know, you can carry a lot more in one barge load than you can a rail car or on a truck. So you're going to transport more at one time, and the other part of that is that it's friendlier for the environment because you generate fewer emissions because you're only using that one boat pulling that barge rather than several trucks.
And that has to make it pretty attractive to be able to obtain this grant? And how much typically do the grants run?
It's generally maybe a couple million, maybe 3 million. You know, it's going to be smaller projects, like we said, maybe a warehouse or something to that effect.
Okay, well, thank you. We're going to come back. We've got a little bit more to talk about. And of course, we'll have Mac Wade here on the show with us. So stay with us right here on The Voice of the Coast. Welcome back to The Voice of the Coast. Again, I'm your host, Danica. Along with me, we have Cindy Cutrera. Let's kind of go back a little bit again, just kind of give a recap. MARAD, what is the acronym for MARAD?
It's the Maritime Administration, which is a division of the U.S. Department of Transportation.
Right, and this has been a long time in the making. We've been trying to have this meeting for now 2 years. We had COVID, then we had Hurricane Ida, so we finally got it done. 70 people are in attendance. That's good in itself because now that brings in some local dollars, many of whom I'm sure stayed at our local hotels. But who were some of the speakers? I mean, we had people from New Orleans. I mean, this was kind of a big deal.
Right. We had people from Louisiana Economic Development. We had some from the Department of Agriculture. We had people from Department of Transportation, Louisiana Department of Transportation, plus we had the guys from MARAD who were from DC. We had some people who came in to do case studies to tell us about the services they set up. They were from like Kentucky, Texas. So we had a variety of people. The Corps of Engineers, especially, we had Vicksburg District and we had Colonel Murphy from New Orleans District. They actually spent almost the full 2 days with us, which was a pretty big deal for us. So.
Right. Well, definitely a big deal to have that held here in Morgan City. But I have to ask a question. You know, this is the good, the bad, and the ugly on this show. Anytime you're dealing with the government, things move so slow. So we're coordinating, we're trying to, get all the details and the information through the case studies and putting our heads together about how soon or how far in advance, I mean, in the future, are we looking forward to getting some of these monies and actually putting a project on the books?
Okay. Well, this initiative is ongoing. We've already had one post-event call on Tuesday with MARAD and all of our port partners. We're going to be we're looking at when we can meet in conjunction with perhaps some other meetings that we all go to, that we attend. We'll do some additional calls. So this is ongoing. This is by no means over. Just when the event ended, our work is just starting.
Yes.
So.
And I'm proud to know and to have the information that we have our waterways dredged. I mean, they're on a constant dredging cycle. That has not happened in, I don't even know, definitely probably before my time, I'm not sure. But during this MARAD seminar, we also had another event going on at the same time, which is dealing with our waterways being dredged.
Correct, which is one of the very important things. Before I forget, I wanted to give you a program booklet that gives you all of the agenda and who spoke, and so you'll have that at your access. But one of the things we wanted to do was, in order to bring business, we had to make it well known that the channel is back open for business, and we wanted to be able to provide some credit to Bryce, because through the partnership of the port, Bryce Civil Constructors, and the Corps of Engineers, we now have our bar channel open. So that little ribbon cutting that we did was to recognize Bryce's success and also just to celebrate what we called the reopening of the Atchafalaya Channel.
Yes. Now, we're all smiles here, but what was the feedback from the event?
It's been great. I've had a lot of very positive feedback. The call we had earlier this week with all of the other ports that are involved, everybody is very excited about moving forward and seeing what we can do together. And they've also made connections during the event, and we're all following up on those connections that we made. So I think the momentum right now is great, and I think that, everybody, I did send out an email to everybody who attended Please give me your feedback. And I did not have one negative
Oh, good.
comment. It was
Awesome.
very positive.
I love to hear it. I'm here for it. We only have about maybe 40 seconds left, and I just want to ask you about tonnage, because typically that's what we talk about when you're here on the show. How are our numbers 2022 so far, and how do they stack up with years prior?
The tonnage numbers are relatively low because of the loss of oil and gas activity, but the Corps uses a 5-year average on the waterway. So don't have an average for this year, but for 2021, it was about 3.7 million because we used some of the traffic that was going down Bayou Chene when the Bayou Buff locks were closed. So, we're trying to impress upon everyone the importance of not just tonnage, but the type of activity that goes on at our shipyards and fabrication yards.
All right, thank you very much for that. I think we got all the information wrapped in. Come on back right here on the Voice of the Coast. As promised, we have Mac Wade here with us, and it's so crazy. I feel like I just all I do is talk about money when it comes to you, but I love it. I really and truly am like I think every other native resident who lives in St. Mary Parish. We want to see that waterway make money. And speaking of money, we pretty much talk about Bryce, and Bryce has been on it 24/7, dredging out the bar channel, keeping that fluff away and allowing a lot of the vessels to come through, getting our authorized depth. That is something that, again, before my time, this is something that the port has been working on for many, many years, and they are at an authorized depth of 20 feet. 400 feet, is it?
250.
250.
But we got 20 foot. Very important.
That really is much more important. However, we've reached that, and we've been at that point for some time, and the government moves slow, but the Army Corps of Engineers has said, I'm going to give you more money.
Danica, that is exactly right. It was announced, and the Corps doesn't normally do that. And you're right, things do move slow. But the Corps, Bryce had a $21.8 million contract when we started this project. They've been out there for over 2.5 years working it. And the Corps last week, during the ribbon cutting ceremony that Cindy had mentioned, upped the contract up to $34 million. So. The Corps doesn't do that unless they're satisfied.
That's right.
And the Corps was there making the announcement. They're saying that the channel, it's working. Are we at 20 by 400? No, but we're at 20 plus 250 foot wide. Bryce will continue, and this will continue to keep Bryce out there. We got him through at least the end of 2023. Is what I was getting worried about. Because we had enough money to run until about August. August was getting close.
And if you remember, this was kind of a trial by fire.
Oh.
We knew nothing about this company. They're coming from Alaska, Louisiana. What do you know about our fluff?
And nobody's ever done this.
Yes, that's right.
And they took the challenge on, and John McVeigh was very thankful. I mean, he thanked the port for working with them, Halimar Shipyard, and the Corps. Because the Corps could have quit on this, because it did not look good in the beginning. It was terrible. We had all kind of problems, but they persevered. We stayed with them, and thank goodness the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers didn't pull the plug. They could have, but they said, we're going to keep going. Let's give them a little bit longer. And then the more they gave them, you could see the results to start taking place and everything. So it was great.
And we've had Mr. McVeigh on the show,
Yes.
and I would love to have him back. So put a birdie in his ear.
I will definitely do that. And Danica, in talking about that dredging, our channel is still good. We spent $40 million last year dredging. $40 million. We have a good channel from Crew Boat Cut all the way out to the sea buoy. This year we will spend $50 million on going back down there in the fall. Okay. We received a lot of funding from the federal government, not as much as I wanted. I was asking for more, but we've got $50 million. And one of the things we may have mentioned was Bayou Chene. Bayou Chene is part of our channel. It has not been touched in over 12, 13, 14 years. We haven't dredged it. They're coming in. We will have a dredge out there probably early fall. Contract will be let probably sometime between now and August, and we'll have a dredge working in Bayou Chene, and we're going to bring it to 24 foot. Our channel offshore is like 22, 23 foot. We're authorized at 20, but they give you 2 foot variance and 2 foot maintenance. So that means you can go to 24. They'll pay for that. Bayou Chene, we'll have it at 24 by 250. We wanted to bring it to regional dimensions, 400 foot. We fell short on the work plan money. We received $50 million, and I don't want to sound like we're ungrateful. That's the most money we've ever received.
Yeah.
Very thankful for that. But the Corps said to get you 400 foot, you need another 24.4. We didn't get that, but we got 50. So.
I mean, look, let's just say we are very blessed along that waterway. We now have a permanent structure. We are in hurricane season.
Yes.
God willing, we don't have
You're
any,
right.
but we are now much more prepared than we were years ago. So we're going to take a short break,
Okay.
but we're going to come back and talk a little bit more. We're going to get on Stouts Pass. And we talk about Foley Island,
Yep.
Foley Long Island. But come on back right here on The Voice of the Coast with yours truly. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast. Again, my guest, I'm the host here. My guest, you might as well can be the host because you're here all the time. But let's talk about Stouts Pass, Mac Wade with the Port of Morgan City.
Danica, Stouts Pass, we were talking earlier about down the river, what we're doing on the Chene. That's our O&M budget. Stouts Pass is under MRT, Mississippi River Tributaries. That's the Berwick Harbor out here. But Stouts Pass, if some people are not familiar with it, it's about 3 miles up the river. If you go up to Chafalaya, not the Port Allen route that runs by the levee, but the Chafalaya River that goes all the way up and connects into the Red River and to the Mississippi.
Okay.
Stouts
and that's
Pass,
quite important because, again, we just talked about MARAD. We talked about this intersection and the flow, so it's quite
Danica,
important.
this is the corridor. This is the highway we're trying to connect to.
Yes.
Stouts Pass has been the Achilles heel on the MRT project for years here. The Corps would come in and dredge. We've had to bring a dredge in twice a couple times a year. It silts in. That waterway is the JIWW going northbound on the Chafalaya River. It's authorized, it's 13 foot. It's 12 foot, they give 1 foot variance, so it's 13 foot. A tow is normally 12 foot. There's been restrictions on it for the last 3, 4, 5 years. We're at 10 today. So that means you didn't fill the barge. Well, but that's all we can get. In fact, there's even been restrictions down to 9 this past year. It silts in fast. Stouts Pass, I know a lot of the old timers say, what's he talking about? Stouts Pass was 60 foot deep years ago.
Oh my
60
goodness.
foot deep.
So where's all this
Today
silt
it's
coming
10
from?
foot. All the sand and everything that comes down that causes me problems in the Berwick Harbor and down the river. That
So this
makes
is
sense.
not obviously not in the bar channel.
No.
This is on the.
No, and the bar channel only gets the fluff, but the rest from Crew Boat Cut to Eugene Island gets the sand. But the sand, yes.
And that is
yes.
a big problem. You going from 60 to 10?
10.
Wow.
And
So we do have a dredge that's.
we had it dredged just recently. There was an alternate, they call it Little Island, next to Stouts Pass. I mean, you had this island right in the middle of the river like, and here's Stouts Pass on this side, they call it Little Island. Well, Little Island is running 24, 25 foot deep, but that's not the channel. It's not the channel. So some of the tows were going through it because they were scared to go through Stouts Pass, because when the Coast Guard comes in every month and gives us a report, that's where the groundings are at Stouts Pass because it's so shallow. So
okay, go ahead.
The problem with with that little island, there's 5 pipelines that cross right there.
Okay.
Oh yes.
I was going to say we couldn't do a crew boat cut.
No.
horseshoe.
Crew Boat Cut was totally different. Totally
Okay.
different. But I'm glad. But it's a little comparison. We
Yeah.
did that. Not up there. There's 5 pipelines. It was discovered the other day off the surveys. The pipelines, when they do the survey, they're usually under the ground. No, these were laying on top. It's only 13 foot. The pipelines are 13 foot down. There's been tows going through there. So the Coast Guard has closed it off. They have driven pilings. They've got all kind of markers, danger, do not enter. You got to use Stouts Pass. But that was easy. There was no problem. But if you hit one of them pipelines, there's high pressure pipelines, there's oil pipelines.
So real quick, of course, I'm no scientist, so or engineer. They can't be moved.
They can be lowered.
Okay, so why not do that? Because I mean,
they're about $5 million a piece to
wow.
lower. There's 5 of them. I'm not good at math, but that comes to about $25 million.
Yes, wow.
Who's going to pick that
I'm
tab
not saying,
up?
and should that be the responsibility of the company?
That's what I'm thinking. It's not the responsibility of the port.
Let me
So
tell you something. Y'all need a mama.
Yeah,
Y'all need, y'all need somebody to put y'all in y'all place. And I'm not saying you. I'm just saying like it makes so much sense to do it that way than to. I mean, you're dealing with something that went from 60
to 10 foot over
to
years.
10 and over the years, and it's causing much more economic damage.
Hauling
correct?
12 foot of goods versus 10 foot of goods, there's a lot of difference. And Danica, so
we have talked so much. You know how this is.
Oh, I know it. I know
We can't
it.
even get to Foley and all
I'll
that. We
come
can't
back.
You come back. So thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. We'll see you guys next time. Take care. Oh.